Hello everyone, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon. So last time it was, I guess, a meeting, or finally the meeting of ARC-EN-CIEL. Honestly, it was pretty fun because they were bantering back and forth, but yeah, it ended up in a battle, I guess. So we're gonna see that battle today. Let's see what happens. Who's gonna win? The battle begins instantaneously. The woman in white leaps into the air. Swords dart through the air, suppressing her advance. The two figures clash before I have the chance to react. CL leaps to the side as she shouts as a warning at the boy behind her. Not a moment later, white claws tear through the ground where she stood. ARC-EN has closed in on her in a single bound, slamming her arm into the ground as if to crush her entire body. The avatar of white cheerfully taunts her mortal enemy. To her, the thrill of the fight far outweighs the humiliation of her foiled attack. CL ignores the jeering as she formulates a strategy. This is the worst possible turn the knight could have taken. Her opponent is a true ancestor who has lost her mind. They are in the middle of the city and she is only armed with black keys. To make matters worse, she needs to protect an innocent bystander, Shikitono in this instance. While she fights, she's left with only one course of action. Go on the defensive, wait for a pause in ARC-EN's onslaught, use it to erect the most powerful bounded field she has, and retreat with Shiki. It's a simple plan in theory. But CL knows from experience that plans rarely survive contact with the enemy. How do you say that? Tracius dashes at her in a straight line. CL sends a sword flying toward her torso. These swords are also known as black keys, inquisitorial tools used exclusively by executors. In its basic forms, it appears nothing but a hilt. However, a blade appears when it is infused with a sacrament, allowing it to function as a sword. That said, it is used primarily for thrusting and throwing, making it less of a cutting tool than a bullet for piercing vampires from afar. And when Executor CL imbues it with her will, it darts through the air with the force of a cannonball. Transcending human limits, she moves with millimeter precision. All of her physical energy is channeled into the throw, amplifying the power of the black key by an order of magnitude. It is not the work of magecraft or sacraments, but the pure mastery of the human body. One fanatic spent hundreds of years devising this technique. A pitch with the force to pierce a concrete wall. At the Boreal Agency, they call it the Iron Bore. But one swipe of ARC-EN's claws is enough to render it useless. Every black key CL throws is an iron bore. The vampire bats aside the rain of swords with a smile on her face, bearing down on the executor. The distance CL created is closed effortlessly. ARC-EN's claws come down, swinging. CL attempts to use a black key as a shield, but it shatters. The impact reverberates through her arms, all the way to her ribs. Unable to resist the force of the blow, she jumps back in the direction she is thrown. The hilts of 6 more black keys appears in her hands. In the span of a single breath, she launches them at ARC-EN and pulls back 10 meters from the vampire.
また国権？私が言うのもなんだけど、そんな年代物いつまで使ってるのよ、あなたたちは。ほら、もっとこう面白そうな。
Give her the gun though, give her the gun. As ARC-EN implied, black keys have a long and storied history of nearly 1,700 years. There are few who still use them due to the high level of skill they demand, and modern weaponry serves as an adequate substitute. But CL is not the average executor. She understands that a weapon cannot be dismissed on account of age. Several variations have been developed over its thousands of years of use. One of these is a cremation rifle. A wall of flame burning at 500 degrees Celsius to incinerate impure beings known as the living dead. Of course, such a weapon has no chance of stopping this vampire. The flames are just a distraction. CL's goal is only to restrain her. Direct attacks with the black keys have little effect, but trapping ARC-EN in a bounded field would keep her at bay for a day. But yeah, I like seeing the swords though, because yeah, we see these kind of swords in the Fate show, right? And it's pretty cool. She brushes the torrent of blades aside. When the black keys pierce the ground, a glowing field shoots up from between them, forming an outline in the shape of a cathedral. These walls are more than strong enough to keep ARC-EN locked within, if only she had been in range. The white figures charges at the executor, waving or weaving through the swords like a beautiful beast bounding across a vast plain. CL meets ARC-EN head-on. Though she could have dodged the blow, she does not allow herself that option. She has already been driven to the edge of the park. If she were to fall back any further, the flight would be taken into the city streets. CL weathers the vicious assault. Her muscles feel like they're on the verge of exploding. Having taken the brunt of ARC-EN's charge, she's like a spring coiled to its limit, and she releases all her energy with a fiery roar. CL pivots, putting her force into a roundhouse kick that strikes ARC-EN in the chest. The white shadow is sent flying with 3 black keys following closely. The tower ring is a bounded field devised by CL for use against a true ancestor, or more accurately, against ARC-EN specifically. Simply nailing the black keys into the ground and creating a wall would not hold her back. To capture prey that moves about this freely requires a 3-dimensional method of herding. In this case, by using the towering walls of a temple as the foundation for a structure that simultaneously occupies a vertical and horizontal space. Although the field will not harm its target, it is practically indestructible. The Tower of Light has about the same hardness and mass as the building it is modeled after, namely the Strasbourg Cathedral, the tallest structure in the world during the Middle Ages, a mass of stone and praying standing 140 meters tall. The vampire has no hope of escaping it.
魔術は使わないんじゃなかったの？あの嘘くさい心情はどこに行った？あなたとロアにしか使わないだけです。諦めなさい、アルクエイド。それは27素であっても一時的に封じ得る強度を持ちます。神素であっても容易には砕けません。加えて何？やっぱりあの武器を持ってくるの？聖典を持ち出す必要はありません。ことはすでに終わっていますから。
The countless pillars of light crusting out of the ground join together. They form a layer upon layer of walls overlapping to form a single cage.
グローブの時の。それはゴチックフォート。ある素から奪い取った原理を用いた結界です。本来は外界との遮断に用いますが、使い方によっては最大の武器にもなる。ところでアルクエイドは魔術世界における生命の質量定義は知っていますね。生命そのものが持つエネルギー生産量、もしくは質量を段階として定義したものです。その基準はシンプルで、大きさと重さとで測られます。一番強いものが小さくて重いもの、2番目に強いものが大きくて重いもの、3番目が小さくて軽いもの。これは人間ですね。そして最後に大きくて軽いもの。これは情報や噂話、幽霊といった広範囲に広がるものです。支援、あなた。私の大聖堂は最大直径 30km の隔絶空間。生命ではありませんが大きくて重いものです。これを極限まで圧縮すればどうなるか試してみるのも一興だと思いませんか？いくら凶暴なあなたでも抜け出すにはそれなりの時間が必要になる。少なくとも1時間は超高密度の監獄を味わってもらいましょう。イデアブラッド22番クロムクレイペタストラクチャー。
The executor raises her arm up high. Then she brings together the gothic fort like she were closing the lid of a treasure chest, compressing the space within. Or rather, she attempted to. A violent blue torrent bursts forth and an invisible force sends CL flying. The tower that trapped ARC-EN-CIEL is shattered. The beams of light that held it in place fade into nothingness. Damn, she's strong.
何よそれ。閉じ込めるとか封じ込めるとか周りを守ることばっかり。これは私との遊びでしょ。ならもっと本気になりなさいよね。
ARC-EN-CIEL walks toward her enemy like she intends to stomp out her frustration. She had accused CL of not taking their fight seriously, but she severely misread the situation. The Executor was fighting seriously. Considering her limited equipment, she was literally giving it everything she had. Against a true ancestor like ARC-EN-CIEL, all she can do is fight defensively. Going on the offense would be a recipe for her own ruin. To truly defeat ARC-EN-CIEL, she would need equipment that could kill her in one blow. That is what CL thinks, at least. But she does not have such luxuries. at her disposal now, and Arc-Wade is not in her right mind. All that awaits her on the other side of this torment of death. What plagues her mind as she stares down her demise, however, is not fear. I mean, she's definitely much more powerful though. That single blow was enough to cause most of her organs to fail. The executor fixes her eyes on the approaching vampire princess, gritting her teeth against a pain fierce enough to make anyone faint.
信じられない。あのバカ。本当に自分の感情で力を使っていませんか?
The woman who was killed countless dead apostles, or who has killed, the woman who has destroyed Volov, now finds herself wishing that the terrible truth before her eyes was only a dream. CL shouts a warning to me as Arc-Wade comes rushing at her speed and ferocity of a hurricane. She dodges, landing at the edge of the park square, a move clearly chosen to give me room to escape. Their fight is entirely beyond my comprehension. I can't even follow Arc-Wade's movements. All I see are white after images fading into the dark of the night. Still, CL continues to fend her off. It's clear even in the way they fight that the two of them are diametrically opposed. In contrast to Arc-Wade's wild, spontaneous attacks, CL doesn't waste a single movement. She retreats, throws her swords from a distance, and braces when her attacker draws near. They are equal in fighting prowess. Arc-Wade moves with reckless abandon while CL remains firm and steady. But the odds are not in CL's favor. Her concern for the surrounding area keeps her from moving freely. On top of that, Arc-Wade does not tire, seeming to have no limits whatsoever. Exceptional as CL is, she's already fighting at full capacity. Arc-Wade, on the other hand, is able to expand her powers endlessly. At this rate, she's going to overwhelm CL's defenses. My premonition comes to pass before me. A victor emerges. The walls of lighted bound Arc-Wade are broken and CL is thrown back by some invisible force. Her body flies through the air and falls to the ground with a thud. CL bites through the agony and climbs to her feet. But her resistance is futile. She's launched even higher into the air by another unseeable blast. I hear the sound of flesh ripping and bones breaking as she hits the ground. A pool of red slowly spreads across the brick pavement. But in spite of it all, CL retains her consciousness. She forces her broken body back onto its feet and stares down her enemy. Blue sparks crackle in the air around Arc-Wade as she makes her approach. Her eyes are red, are firmly fixated at the CL's neck. The way like you're having like sparks there reminds me of like Super Saiyan 2. Yes, very nice. And then she has the blonde hair as well. My voice does not come out, of course not. My brain is not functioning, but so what? Arc-Wade is going to kill CL in cold blood. That's absolutely unacceptable. I can't let her do something so stupid. In a daze, I find my legs moving on their own. I slid in between them, arms spread wide open to protect CL.
四季
In an instant, Arc-Wade returns to normal, the sparks that flew around her disappearing. Is she really so shocked that I would protect CL?
なんでどうして四季がそいつをかばうの？
なんでも何もない。言っただろ。先輩は俺にとって大事な人だ。いくらお前でもこれ以上先輩に手を挙げたら許さないからな。
I tightened my grip on the knife in my pocket as I glared at Arc-Wade.
そう。そいつと仲良くなってたらどうなるかって私も言ったはずだけど。
Arc-Wade glares back at me with a murderous gaze.
どいて。今ならまだ許してあげる。早くそんな奴をかばうのはやめて。私にそのナイフを向けないで。
Her crimson eyes flicker like a candle's flame. Her bloodlust is no longer aimed at CL but turned towards me instead. My throat and mouth became painfully dry. My instincts warned me that this is my last chance to back off. But even so,
ダメだ。お前が先輩に手を挙げないと言うまでどかない。
聞きたくない。どいて四季。
お前こそ引けアルクエイド。お前は俺に言ったじゃないか。人間は殺さないって。それともあれは俺を安心させるための嘘だっていうのか。
ええ、私は人間は殺さない。けど人間の規格を大きく外れた命には敬意を表してる。だから対等の存在として殺すことも厭わないわ。例えばあなたやそこの女みたいな相手にはね。
one step, Arc-Wade takes one step closer. Though my legs are trembling so fiercely that I think they may take off on their own, I hold back the urge to run.
そう。あなたはまた私にナイフを向けるんだ。
Another step. Arc-Wade casually closes in on me.
一度目は許した。けれど二度目を許せる自信はないわ。もっともあの時の再現はありえないけど、いくらあなたの直視の目でも今の私から死を読み取ることはできないでしょう。
She's right in front of me. Her golden eyes even bore into mine. Anxiety has frozen not only my heart but every cell in my body. My spine has been ripped clean out. My organs have been turned inside out. This overwhelming sense of despair is beyond anything Vlov could master. It is as though every part of the universe has turned its hateful gaze onto me. There's nothing I can do. This is what it means to make Arc-Wade your enemy. She's too fundamentally different from living beings to be fought. Attacking her would be meaningless. In order to save CL, in order for either of us to have any chance of survival, my only option is to stop her using my words. Okay, we gotta save. No. Put it there, I guess, at the bottom. Nothing, saying the wrong thing would only make things worse. Let's say this one. Maybe she'll stop, right? I'll hate you if you do this. Will this really work? It is how I feel, but I have no idea how she'll respond.
待てアルクエイド。いいのか？本当にいいのか？
言ってることがわからない。 いいのかって何がよ。
Well,
それ以上進んだらお前のこと嫌いになるからな。
she stopped though. I don't believe it. That worked. She actually stopped.
ダメ。逃げて遠のく。
先輩。
It happens in an instant. Though she's wounded so badly that she can barely stand, CL gets in front of me.
生命力だけはさすがね。でもそれでどうするの？さっきの大魔術で魔力は空っぽのくせに。今のあなたじゃ式の盾にもならない。式が無茶をしている間に逃げればよかったのに。あなたこそ、そんな気もないくせに笑わせないでください。私が背中を見せれば、喜んでとどめを刺す気だったでしょう。でも、おあいにくさまでしたね。私はまだ、戦えます。だって彼を、無関係な人々を守るのは、私の役目なんですから。
先輩。
Her breathing is ragged. Her clothes are soaked in blood and she still puts on a brave front, trying desperately to protect me.
あなたも下がってください。ここは私が。
もう、下がるのは先輩の方だ。いいから休んでろ。ここは俺が何とかするから。でもありがとう。大好きです先輩。
I scrambled with myself in front of CL. I must think I'm invincible. I wouldn't even flinch if ARC-EN glowered at me with those golden eyes again. This is the stupidest thing I have ever done.
待ってください。無理ですから。遠野くんじゃアルクエイドに殺されちゃいます。ここを何とかするのは私の方ですよ。
It was so serious earlier and now they're arguing in the middle of battle. And ARC-EN is like, what is happening?
そんな傷で何言ってるんですか。いいから下がって、ほら。ここで意地を張るのは俺の役目です。たまには先輩を守らせてください。
守るって、でも。
We grab each other's shoulders and shuffle back and forth, fighting over who gets to stand in front of the other. It's like we're performing a little dance. I don't know what's getting into us, but it's actually kind of fun. Not fun for everyone though. A certain onlooker trembles with fury as she watches our friendly bickering.
何よバカ！もういい。式なんて知らない。そんなにシエルが大事なら勝手にすれば。私もう助けてあげないから。
アルクエイド。
いい、私帰る。言っておくけど、その女はあなたが思っているような真っ当な人間じゃないから。利用されて絞り取られて薄皮一枚にまでなればいいわ。
ARC-EN shouts at me angrily and turns away enough.
なんだよそれ。お前だってさっき物騒なこと言ってたじゃないか。俺を自分のものにするとかなんとか。
私は隠し事はしないもん。式が好きって言っただけよ。じゃあね、後で私に泣きついても聞いてあげないから。せいぜい血を吸われないよう気をつけることね。
ARC-EN is still clearly upset, leaps out of the park like a shooting star, darting across the night sky. It's done. Everything unfolded a little too quickly for me to wrap my head around. CL and I look up into the darkness that swallowed ARC-EN, dumbfounded.
星になってしまいましたね、彼女。
星というよりロケットっぽかったですけど。
The two of us blankly share the first words that come to mind.
そうじゃなくて。 なんて無茶をするんですか、遠野くんは。神祖と戦おうとするなんて自殺願望にも程があります。
CL lectures me with her hands on my shoulders. I don't object, she's absolutely right.
そうでしたね。今でも背中すげえ冷たいです。あいつやるときはほんと用じゃないから。先輩が割って入ってくれなかったら首が飛んでました。
そこまで分かっていてどうして。
だって先輩を放っておけないし。改めてありがとうございます、先輩。俺のために戦ってくれたのぐらいわかります。
はい。お礼を言うなら私もでした。遠野くんがいなかったらどうなっていたかわからなかったです。
CL shyly looks down at her feet. Neither of us knows what to say. We've gotten very close to one another, though we aren't touching. I can feel her body heat tickling my skin.
先ほどは意地を張ってごめんなさい。遠野くんを困らせるつもりじゃなかったんです。
さっきのってアルクエイドのこと？
そうじゃなくて、お屋敷から公園までのこととか、昼間の茶道室のこととか。
I'm the one who should be apologizing for all that. But if I do, SCL will only get even more apologetic. If she says that she wants to apologize, I should just listen. Maybe this means we can be friends again, and that's all I want.
そうですね。じゃあ喧嘩両成敗ってことで仲直りしてください。
そうですか。そんなことでいいなら喜んで。
Her head bowed as CL pulls her glasses out from somewhere and puts them back on.
それより先輩、体は大丈夫ですか？
I take a step back to look over CL's body. She was bleeding out onto the ground just now, so if we don't take care of that soon,
あれ？
I mean, she's fine. Like, don't you remember what Miss Noel said? That even if you burn her and she becomes ashes, she will regenerate. It's gone. The blood that had pooled around her on the pavement, the blood that stained her habit, it's all gone.
遠野くん、これは。
そっか。先輩はあれぐらいの傷なんともないんでしたっけ？ブローブの時なんてもっと深い傷を受けてたし、並大抵のことならあいつみたいにすぐに治って。
I'm such an idiot. Escaping mortal danger made me careless. Careless enough to bring up a subject I'd been unconsciously avoiding until now. She's just like a vampire after all. She has a true immortality. That girl isn't half the decent human being you think she is. At least try not to get your blood sucked. I push those words into the recesses of my subconscious. But it seems that my silence has spoken loudly enough.
いや、でもあれだよな。アルクイドのやつもデタラメなことばっかり言うよな。先輩が俺の血を吸うなんて、そんなこと絶対にありえないのに。
Yeah, there's no way that would happen. Not in a million years. I mean, CL walks around during the day. Sure, ARC-Wade does that too, but even she's weaker when it's light out. CL doesn't change day or night. Besides, she's a member of the church. It's not like they hire a vampire to go vampire hunting. I mean, she's not a vampire though, she's like a vampire, I guess.
取り繕わないでいいです。私の体のこと、ノエル先生から聞いたんですね。
I can't say the word yes. Not out of consideration for CL, but out of my own desire to turn a blind eye to reality.
ノエル先生のおかげで目が覚めました。質問の続きです。どうして私をかばったんですか？アルクエイドが本気であなたを殺すつもりだったのは分かっていたはずなのに。
There is no emotion in CL's eyes. It's as if they are a doll's eyes, empty and unseeing.
どうしてって、さっきも言ったでしょ。先輩が殺されかけたんです。誰だってかばいます。
自分が殺されるというのに？献身とは自分の命を投げ出すことではありません。自分の命をないがしろにして他者の命を救おうというのは、献身でも犠牲でもなく、ただの自己愛です。あなたは、ただ自分が後悔したくなかっただけ。それだけであんな真似をして満足しています。はっきり言って、すごく迷惑です。
And now she's angry at us.
正しく生きようとするのは立派ですが、あなたの身勝手な正しさに私を巻き込まないでください。
それは。
There's nothing I can say. She's right though. I didn't think things through. I was so focused on saving her that the thought of how to deal with ARC-EN-CIEL afterwards never crossed my mind. I never stopped to consider what CL wanted. She's got every right to say that, but...
それでも、先輩を守りたかったんです。それが迷惑だって言うんですか？先輩はあのままアルクエイドに殺されていてもよかったって。
はい。私の命なんですから。あなたにどうこう言われるものではないはずです。いえ、死んだ方がまだマシでした。吸血鬼にお情けで見逃されて生き延びるなんて、無様すぎます。
Humiliating. She'd rather have died? I can make sense of that whatsoever.
自分の命を何だと思ってるんですか、先輩は。死んだらそれまでなんですよ。どんなにひどくて、どんなにみっともないことをしてでも、生きていられるのなら生きるべきです。だって生きていなくちゃ何もないじゃないですか。無様だから何だって言うんです。どんなに情けなくても、何もなくなるよりずっと何倍もいい。俺は先輩を守りたかった。死んでほしくなかった。先輩と一緒にまた茶道室にいたかったんです。
I know I should stay calm, but I can't hold back the swell of emotion in my chest. I'm an idiot. CL and I just made up, and here I go yelling at her again.
そうでしたね。あなたは7年前に一度死にかけた人でした。だからそんな単純な考えで満足できるんです。幸せな人。そんな言葉、私には言えません。
CL steps away from me, her eyes hollow. Even though I could reach out and touch her, she feels impossibly far away.
アルクエイドが言っていたことは本当です。彼女の言う通り、私は人間とは呼べません。遠野くんも見たでしょ？さっきまであんなにこぼれていた血が、まるでなかったことのように消え去っているのを。
それは。
いいんです。私、化け物なんです。 私は吸血種ではありませんが、普通の人間らしい体ではないのも事実ですから。
何言ってるんですか先輩。人間らしい体って先輩は十分普通じゃないか。
これでもですか。
先輩。
Oh my god. I don't have time to stop her. I mean, she knows that nothing's gonna happen to her anyways, right? She slits her throat with one of her swords. I hear a dull scraping as the blade cuts her flesh and corroded artery. Then a wet splash. A vibrant scarlet floods my vision. Blood gushes from her neck. It smells of iron, of life itself. The primary color hurts to look at. It's beautiful, threatening to rob me of my sight. My entire consciousness, the fresh blood seeps into her black habit. Beneath that habit, the red liquid that runs over Ciel's pale skin must be growing thicker, like a serpent coiling around her body. Splat! A drop of blood lands on my finger. The sensation snaps me back to reality. Ciel is bleeding out in front of me.
Senpai!
I rush forward, wiping away the blood splattered on me.
慌てる必要はありません。
She pulls the sword away from her neck. And oh my god. Her wound has already closed. Not only that, all the blood that spurted out of the wound is disappearing. This is beyond healing, beyond regeneration. This ability is even greater than Vlov's. I am speechless. I have absolutely nothing to say in response to what I just witnessed.
はい、この通りです。できることなら、遠野くんには知られたくなかったですけど。
Ciel grins bitterly. I still don't know what to say, even when faced with that smile. Man, both of these girls, man. Both of them are crazy. Look at that.
だから、昼間のことは謝らなくていいんです。全部正しかったんですから。私はあなたのことを騙していました。あんな風に怒られても、それは仕方のないことなんです。
But yes, Ciel can still feel, right? For example, yeah, as she stabbed herself there or sliced herself, she can still feel that, but she's gonna regenerate nonetheless.
そんなことは。
Why can't I finish that sentence? Yeah, because, for example, when she's fighting, right? Like when we saw with ARC-EN-CIEL, she is getting hurt though. Yes, it's not like she's not feeling anything. She's actually feeling something, but she would be okay, yeah, a little bit later. No matter what kind of person she is or what kind of body she has, even if it turned out that she was a vampire all along, Ciel would still be extremely important to me, so why?
本当は、もっと距離を取る予定だったんです。ただの顔見知りとかそれぐらいの。そうすれば、あなたの方から話しかけてくることも、こんな風に嫌われることもなかった。けどいいんです。今までのことを後悔はしていません。遠野くんが私との思い出が楽しかったって、守りたかったと言ってくれて嬉しかった。
先輩。
I only said that because those truly were the best of times. I wish they could have gone on forever.
さよなら。
Ciel smiles gently as always, then disappears before my eyes. She remains ARC-EN-CIEL's polar opposite to the end. ARC-EN-CIEL flew away like a shooting star, but I don't even see CL's back as she leaves. The inside of my head is churning violently. I couldn't chase after CL if I tried. ARC-EN-CIEL called CL a vampire, and CL didn't deny it. She even showed me definitive proof of it. She could have lied. Even if I saw right through it, I wish she would have told me it wasn't true. Goodbye. I don't need to think about what that means. I learned what CL really was. I hurt her, and even then she still came to see me. But now that's all over. In a matter of minutes, I lost everything because of one careless remark. My mind isn't working. What is it that I lost? What is causing me this pain? A story of some woman called Noelle told me. An accusation by ARC-EN-CIEL, a slit throat that proved it all true? Or is it? I have a headache. Self-loathing clings to the inside of my lungs like mud. I feel like throwing up. It feels like some invasive plant is growing in my head. It hurts so much that I can't think. I can't cope with the reality of never seeing CL again. I leave the park. My steps feeble, my memories hazy. Like Shiki had both of them, man, and now both are gone. I'm exhausted. The weed in my brain has grown into a thicket of tangled thorns, creaking and groaning as it tightens around my non-functioning gray matter. I tumble heavily into the bed. An ominous darkness creeps closer and closer, looming over my shoulder. But the faces that come to mind now are no different from the ones I saw. With that final thought, I close my eyes. All I want is to go to sleep like a brain-dead scarecrow. Oh my god, we're back. We're back to another story again. I dream myself from long ago. Humans tend to reminisce more and more as they age. I suppose I am no exception. There are abilities I have a use for and those I do not. That which I need and that which I don't. Myself today and myself tomorrow. I sift through them all and store what belongs to the past in my workshop, as though writing a memoir I will never read. Disposing of one's past self is part of being human. The hour of my death is nigh. To be exact, I have about 1 week left in this world. That fair avatar will soon come for me, and this life will come to an end. It stirs no particular emotion in me. All humans must die, that is their inevitable fate. If there is anything I fear, it is at the moment I wake. The sensation of crawling free from unending darkness never gets any less repulsive, no matter how many times I experience it. I reflect on my past as I chart my future. The life I leave behind was a failure. My body was born frail, so I devoted myself to extending the longevity of the flesh. While I found some success in halting aging, the overall experiment proved fruitless, as I expected. The human body is not fit for eternal youth. What shall I pursue next? So much of my research remains unfinished. My current topic of study, agelessness, proved counterproductive, even regressive. So next I will study inheritance. Humans combine desirable genes to birth superior descendants. Might this be achieved more directly and efficiently? Consider the dead apostle, though. They may grant underneath their minions that does not extend to the passing on of their powers. Indeed, they have no reproductive functions to speak of. They may experience lust and sexual desire, but they cannot reproduce or produce offspring. Their individual longevity renders a reproductive capacity unnecessary. Family in Dead Apostle Society refers to minions nurtured with particular care. Dead Apostles of rank 6 or higher may possess what they call sons and daughters, but these are merely talented mortals they have adopted and turned at the right time. If any are truly connected by blood, it is only because they were parent and child in life. Such as the case of Lord Rosai-En, the last hope of the aristocracy, who became a vampire alongside his beloved daughters. He and his supporters are considered one of the most powerful factions in Dead Apostle Society, and his success and in life satisfaction are the envy of even his fellow ancestors. Yet his greatest lamentation is that he will never see a grandchild. Dead apostles that cannot give birth to children. Dead apostles that cannot pass on their powers. They cannot even pass on their genes. They are fatally flawed as living creatures. This is the primary reason that despite their superiority to humans, they are not counted as Homo sapiens. Dead apostles cannot create dead apostle children. No matter how strong their curse, and an ancestor's curse is potent indeed, enough to challenge the world, it will vanish with them. That is not perfection. And so, I still have work to do. I have decided on my next topic of study. The curse is held by the 27 ancestors. I shall devise a way that they can be inherited. The primary issue is that each principle is unique. They cannot be intimidated or imitated, and copying them would negate their uniqueness, diluting their power. Thus, inheritance is the key. I will design a technique to make all 27 principles mine, repurpose for my own use. 15. The inheritance and use of all curses and liabilities, or the forceful transfer of one's power and fate. I will define the efficacy of my next self. I will murder, claim, and exploit. Yes, murder must be the foundation, in much the same way as humans bequeath possessions. Inelegant as it sounds when put into words, the death of the previous owner is necessary for any inheritance to be passed on. Inheritance, I pride myself on the accuracy of the term. An inheritance from one's parents is rarely much to celebrate. For most, the best case scenario is overwhelming debt. Will my next body be strong enough to bear that burden? The stars are falling. The fair avatar has departed. My torso has been reduced to nothing, my arms and legs have turned to ash. All that remains is my head, which will burn away in seconds. As death takes a hold of me, I ask myself once more, am I not afraid? Of course not. All I feel is regret. I sought perfection. What is perfection to you? Asked my old friend who remained at the church. To that friend, the perfection could only indicate the Almighty, our all-knowing Father. Naturally, for that was a doctrine for our faith. The church created an unchanging being and proved its omnipotence by spreading its word. Even as they knew that the universe is constantly expanding, they declared their God a universal constant. But that is utterly and laughably mistaken. The very idea of constant is antiquated. It is always the humans of the present day that push knowledge and awareness further. What value is there in being omnipotent in a bygone era? Perfection is not an object to be obtained, but a destination at which one must arrive. Humanity's terminus, the conclusion to its story. The meaning of my soul, the answer to the question of our purpose. I want to reach that conclusion. That constant state where nothing can be gained or lost. That is where, or that is the only eternity to be found on this earth. The vampires known as ancestors pursue eternity itself. What I pursue is the means to reach it. It is only natural then that they scorn me as a heretic. We are fundamentally different creatures. I know beyond a doubt that my path is not mistaken, even if my methods turned out to be flawed. Though this too is a hollow proclamation, my old self, the theologian, died the day I saw the castle in its field of stars in bloom. I discovered that eternity already existed, or rather I discovered something that I wish to preserve for eternity. Even now, no matter how many times I leave this world, I still return to this agonizing cycle of hatred and joy. In one fateful moment, I weighed my desire to know the whole universe against my desire to know a single woman. And in that moment, the theologian died. So heed my words, you who hear this. Engrave this warning deep within your soul. To look with human eyes upon the light of the planet is a grave sin. Once all is done, you will learn just what it is you fell in love with. So yeah, what was that about? The last part there. That was something. But the battle itself, I mean, with ARC-EN-CIEL, that was pretty good. No one, it ended, and no one, I guess won. I mean, you could say ARC-EN is winning, or won basically, but yeah, she left, right? But it was nice. That is, I guess, first of many battles that we are gonna see between ARC-EN and CIEL. So I'm looking forward to watch more battles between them. And CIEL doing that earlier, showing to Shiki that how immortal she was, right? Yeah, basically she just slit her throat and then, yeah, couple seconds, it's fixed, it's gone, right? Just like that, so easy. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with this route. Like, how is it gonna end, right? Like, I think end is quite far still. But yeah, I think a lot of things will happen. So when you compare this to ARC-EN's route, like this one for CIEL is really good. I'm not gonna lie. Because yeah, it's not just focused on, let's say, one character. For ARC-EN, it was mostly focused on her. While for this one in CIEL, you still have ARC-EN there. Yeah, we still have a lot of time with her. And then yes, you have a majority with CL, but a lot with ARC-Wade still. So basically both of them in this route, right? So we'll see. So anyways, we are gonna continue this and do more of Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon in the next one. So I'll just see you then. Bye bye.